Fantastic. Happy Wednesday to each and every one of you. Welcome to the Public Works Committee meeting, room 1050. It's great to see each and every one of you. And I'm joined by my colleagues, Mr. Krikorian, Mr. Garcetti. And just to let you know, if you'd like to submit a public comment card, please do so at this time. And do we have any general public comment cards filled out, Michael?
No.
Not at this time.
Not received any.
Great. Okay, let's move on with the agenda. Colleagues, if I can, without objection, I'd like to move items 3 for approval. Can you read it for us, please?
Yes. Item number 3 is City Engineer Report relative to the private driveway name establishment request for Cahuenga Court to be located at Cahuenga Boulevard West, easterly of Ione Drive.
Without objection, if we can move that. Fantastic. And then, so approved. With that, item number 5, we've received a request to continue item number 5. If we can do so without objection, colleagues?
Yep.
So moved. So we got rid of 3 and 5. So Mr. Clerk, please read the first item.
Item number 1 is the City Administrator Officer Report relative to the bridge improvement program's total budget and cost to complete the seismic bond component.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please identify yourself. Welcome.
Good afternoon. It's Lori Hancock with the CAO, and I'm here to present a report that was heard by the Seismic Governance Committee on March 29th of this year. It's a BOE report regarding the bridge improvement program, and it's the seismic bond component of that. They're asking to adjust their budget and to make a few other changes, such as adding a project, the First Street project, to their list of projects from 59 to making it a 60 project program. The budget change increase goes from a $460.5 million budget, which included only 2 funding sources, to an $845.7 million budget, which includes all of the funding sources in those projects. So it's a different way to look at this program, but I think it gives you a much clearer picture of how big it is and the impact that it's having on the city's bridges. Let's see. In addition to that, the report asks that BOE come back each year and give you a good picture of the financial position of the program, and it asks the City Administrative Officer and the CLA to look for additional funding. Currently, the way it's structured, there's a $15.4 million shortfall projected to get this program to completion. Of that, about $10.5 million is contingency. So what we are anticipating doing is looking for $3 million each year for the next 5 years so that we can complete the program. In the upcoming budget, we have identified $4 million, so we're a little bit ahead of schedule on our $3 million. So we have $2 million coming from Measure R for the Glendale Hyperion project and $2 million from MICLA, which would be for program contingency. So while we don't anticipate, we can't specifically anticipate what we would need these for. We're looking to the future based on what we have done in the past and knowing that we will probably need those amounts of money. Saying that, we don't know that each project may not have something significant that it would need to be, come back and look for additional funding from some other funding source.
Got it. Thank you. I just, one thing that I failed to mention in my opening, I hear bridges, and we had, as we all know, we're dealing with the landslide issue, at the White Point landslide issue in San Pedro. I just want to commend Gary Lee Moore, our city engineer, and his team for being responsive and putting together it's a great community meeting to raise awareness and include the community on the problem-solving process, and most importantly, identifying some of the options. I don't know if you guys heard, colleagues, of this landslide that we're dealing with in San Pedro. But I just want to publicly thank him and his team for moving forward. And now that we know what we have in front of us, specifically some of the options that are the community's anxious to be a part of that and come up at least with our short-term goals. Colleagues, any questions on item 1?
Good work,
Good.
Fletcher.
Yes.
And Colfax.
Yeah.
And by the way, this $15.4 $1.4 million projected need. That's a pretty small fraction of the overall remaining budget. And while there might be unanticipated expenses, there might also be project savings as well. So I would say that it's not a terrible concern of mine that we have that little bit of a gap, because over the course of these projects, we might well find project savings that equate to that as well. Isn't that
Yes.
fair to say?
We will, I'm sure. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with Highway Bridge Program dollars, the federal dollars, if we don't, like construction contracts come in at less than we anticipate, we don't get that participation from the highway HBP. So it is less of an impact to G, and so that's why we always need to keep that in the forefront of our thinking. Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll move that item forward. Thank you. And move into item number 2. Michael, please.
Item number 2 is the city engineer report relative to the vacation of Laurel Canyon Boulevard, southerly of Willow Glen Road and easterly of Laurel Canyon Boulevard, and a variable width slope and drainage easement.
Great. Mr. Edmund, you? Then
Yeah.
we have one card from CD4. So we'll go to you first, Edmund.
Okay. Edmund Yu from Public Works Engineering. This is a vacation request for an unimproved portion of Laurel Canyon in Council District 4. The road currently is not being used for public road purposes. So based on that, engineering is recommended for the approval of this vacation.
Thank you. We have one public comment card here from Jonathan Brand from CD4. Welcome.
Thank you, council members. Jonathan Brand with Councilman Tom LaBonge's office. We're in support of this this application. Now, we would like for the deletion of condition 5A. That's a requirement of a sidewalk adjacent to the property. Now, this property is halfway up Laurel Canyon on the city side. There's no sidewalks in either direction from Mulholland all the way practically to Sunset, and it would just be a sidewalk to nowhere. It would take away from existing mature landscape and trees. It's just not necessary.
Okay, without objection, removing condition 5A.
5A, yes.
Without objection? So moved. Thank you so much. Moving on to item number 4.
Item number 4 is a motion from council members Reyes and Parks relative to the implementation of roadway and sidewalk modifications for Wilshire Boulevard in lieu of the existing standards.
Do you have one card on this item? Susan Wong, representing Councilmember Ed Reyes' office. Welcome.
Hi, Susan Wong with Councilmember Ed Reyes' office. So we would hope that you would adopt this motion. It will create a more pedestrian-friendly walkway in front of Good Samaritan Hospital. We do have a technical amendment to the moving clause, and so I'd hope you to approve it as amended.
And I believe the clerk has the copy of the amendment.
Can you read that for the record, please?
Yes, it states, I therefore move that the council adopt a new roadway standard for this segment of Wilshire Boulevard between Lucas Avenue and Whitmore Street, and instruct Bureau of Engineering, the Department of Transportation, the Department of City Planning, the Department of Street Lighting to implement a half roadway width of 37 feet and a sidewalk width of 15 feet, all within a 52-foot half-width right-of-way for Wilshire Boulevard in lieu of the existing standards through the B permit process.
Anyone here from engineering that objects to this? Colleagues, any questions? Great, without objection, we'll adopt this. Is that right? You're Mr. Garcetti was born at Good Sam.
Might be where you end up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not where you started out.
Give me a chance, yeah.
Great, thank you. Item number 6, please.
Item number 6 is a motion from council members Buscaino and Reyes relative to the waiving of the Class B permit fees for plan review and construction inspection for signalization of a three-way intersection at Vermont and 119th Street.
Colleagues, I introduced this motion in support of putting a traffic signal in my district, and it's falls on a county line, so we work with the county, and this is an issue related to, most importantly, the students and parents at Athens Elementary School. And since county funds most of this, or this tri-light, I figured the least we can do is waive the engineering permit fees. So without objection, if you guys are okay with that, colleagues.
Mr.
And
Chairman?
CLA has a technical amendment on this?
In conversations with BOE, we have a small technical amendment.
Please.
After the words, "the Bureau of Engineering and Contract Administration," just comma, "and any other affected department."
Very good.
Maybe a little broader than those two
Sure, just
entities.
to cover
We
us.
wonder- But the numbers won't change.
Thank you. Questions, comments, colleagues? We're good?
Congratulations.
Hey, thank you so much for, and we just, apparently, from what I hear of my constituents, they've been pushing for this tri-light, the signal light, for quite some time, so thank you. Without objection, we'll move forward on item number 6. Now, I understand item 7 is a closed session item. Should we take public comment first? If we have one public comment card by Michael Carrion, and then we'll go into item 7 in closed session. So, Mr. Carrion.
Thank you. I have a few questions maybe somebody can answer. You guys are moving on all these items that were brought to you, 2012, 2011. And here you got a project that was brought to you in 2009, 2005. And why does this keep getting skipped and skipped and skipped? It keeps getting postponed, yet when you postpone a meeting, doesn't it all go on the next meeting? Common sense says if I postpone a meeting, everything that I postpone will be in the next agenda, on the next meeting. Yet, the Soto Street slope was left off. Okay? Finally got a hold of some of the information. I understand it's going to be a lot of money to fix that wall. But this is litigation that's already been dealt with a long time ago. We shouldn't have to be here jumping through hoops and loops. You just okayed a B plan, and what I'm understanding is this is what all this $29,000 was taking 5 years just to get to the B plan permit, which we just got. I need you guys to help me on this. We're talking about corridors in your department. Our Soto Street is just like the Wilshire corridor to some people. Yet you've had K-rails blocking Soto Street for 8 years. It's unacceptable. Okay? I need you guys to understand that I almost killed somebody because this child wanted to walk on the streets regardless of what you put up there, or regardless of what you tell them that they're not supposed to go down across the street, they still walk on the street. I'm driving a full-size Suburban with a trailer loaded, and a child jumps on the street to walk around these K-rails, and I almost ran him over. I don't think you guys want that on your conscience. This is what has me so passionate about this. I need you guys to help me on this, please.
Thank you, Michael. With that, if I can ask Sergeant, please clear the room for item number 7, which is a closed session item. If we can, yes, please read the item before we clear the room for the record.
Okay, item number 7 is the city attorney report relative to a settlement discussion in the case entitled City of Los Angeles versus Fernando Flores. This is Los Angeles Superior Court case number BC 438542. This matter involves an eminent domain case for the Soto Street Bridge Improvement Project.
Thank you, Sergeant. When we're, just give me the sign. Did you see staff here? We are now back in open session. And without seeing any other public comment cards, gives me great pleasure to adjourn this Public Works Committee meeting. So thank you, and we'll see you at the next one.